Welcome to another edition of Flea Market Fantasy, the world's second greatest Bronze Age era comic book podcast. And joining me tonight, returning after a 2-week absence, it's new Mike L, Kevin Jank.
Hey, I'm back. It was not
Kevin
me with
Jank.
those hookers in the trunk. That was my evil twin.
All right, so all the legal problems have been taken care of. Jank is back. It's good to have you back, buddy. Very excited. Did you miss doing the show?
Oh, sure. It's all I thought about every night.
While you were gone.
Board picked up.
Oh, well, I hope so. While you were gone, our old buddy Bob Myers filled in for you like a pro. And thankfully, Bob is here to join us again. 3 weeks in a row, Bob. Bob, are you with us?
I am here. Yeah, 3 weeks. This is a lot. I don't know how you guys do this every week.
It is.
Thank you so much for filling in.
Yeah, of course.
This is just half of our fake radio burden.
That's true.
I mean, really, it's like a fifth, considering the other show's 4 hours long.
So, anyway, though, Bob, and a way to thank you for filling in for Jank. Well, we picked Planet of the Apes last week. Monkey Planet. That was great. But now, this week, we let you pick an issue. Jank said, hey, he can have my pick. Oh, shit. You know what? I forgot to make a pick for this week.
Well, you got until the end of the episode to come up with something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you guys are yapping about whatever we're doing. We'll reveal here in a second. I'll go find something to pick. All right, but Bob, tell the kids what you picked for this week.
We are doing John Constantine Hellblazer, issue number 7.
Yeah.
And may I suggest, Mike Dell, maybe you just do issue 8. You just start working through the series.
I'm all right. I think I'm good.
Yeah.
I think I'm good. Now, Jank,
Maybe we should have started with issue 8.
when I told you, Jank, that Bob had picked Hellblazer, you were excited.
Yeah. This was on my list of things to get to at some point. I was thinking about maybe trying to push it till, October, but I'm glad we're doing it now.
You have read Hellblazer in the past?
No, I have not, but I have been looking through the issues trying to find a good one.
How'd that go?
Number 7, not what I would have picked.
All right. Yeah, Bob, why did you select issue number 7, Bob?
'Cause this one, it's just got a fair bit of all the weirdness.
Yeah.
So it,
Very weird.
I kind of looked through and what one makes sense, and all these early issues of Hellblazer are recurring storylines. So, you had to pick one. It's none of them really make sense. I mean, there's a couple standalones, but had to just kind of jump in the middle somewhere, and I was just kind of flipping through, and I remembered this one was very weird. So I decided to go with it.
All right. That makes sense. Now, what is your history with John Constantine Hellblazer? How long you've been reading it, or big fan all your whole life?
Not all my whole life. I started reading it, I don't know, years ago. I really haven't read that much of it. Maybe 30 issues, I would say. But yeah, there's a lot of Hellblazer.
That is 30 issues. That's plenty.
Yeah, I mean, I think the run goes 300, but yeah, so 10%, that's something.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at some backstory here on John Constantine Hellblazer. This here title ran from January 1988 to February 2013. As Bob said, a span of 300 issues. Holy hell. And it shifted to the Vertigo imprint in 1993. You mentioned this last week, Bob, that this book was more synonymous with Vertigo because it was Vertigo's longest running title. And Bob, would you like to remind the kids what Vertigo was?
I guess the best way to put it is it's imprint of DC Comics more for mature readers, I guess would be the best way to describe it.
That leaves us out.
Exactly.
In March 2013, 1 month after the first series ended, DC launched Constantine, which brought the character into the mainstream DC universe, and it lasted 23 issues. Bob, do you have any knowledge of the Constantine series?
No, but I mean, I don't want John Constantine in the DC universe fully. I mean, he obviously sort of is, but that doesn't sound interesting at all.
That seems to be the general consensus from what I read. That people did not like the series because they did not like him being part of the. At least that's what I read. Jank, I'm guessing you have no knowledge of any of this.
I mean, I'm aware of the character. I've certainly read some stories that have him in the mainstream DC universe, and they were fine.
All right.
Was it him investigating why the Blue Beetle is such a dumb character?
It should have been. Maybe you can magic up some way to make him cool.
There were some other series after that. I guess limited series and stuff. I think there might be even one going on right now. Who knows?
Oh, I'm sure.
But I don't know, Jank, you were a movie aficionado. In 2005, there was a movie called Constantine, starring Keanu Reeves.
Free pizza, Keanu Reeves.
That's Free Pizza, which is a reference to a terrible movie we watched on the LCS show. What was the name of that one? Scorned? Or no, that was the other one. Knock Knock. Yeah. Knock Knock. There are two very similar films, Scorned and Knock Knock. Keanu was in Knock Knock, and he gives this ridiculous speech about free pizza. But anyway, Jank, did you see Constantine the movie?
You know, I never actually did. I think even without really having read the book, I knew that Keanu Reeves was a bad choice. And then, never watched Bram Stoker's Dracula. Why did they think, you know how terrible he is doing a British accent from that movie. Why would you ever pick him to play Constantine?
Yeah, we haven't really talked about the character. We'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, Keanu as John Constantine, that makes no sense. Bob, is that who you would have cast as John Constantine?
Absolutely not, which is part of the reason I've never seen it. I have heard it's actually not bad, but he is not Constantine by any means.
No. I heard they are making a sequel, though.
I think I heard that too, because people like it. It's just it's you've got to think of it as like some weird alternative version because he's clearly not Keanu Reeves.
Well, in 2014, 2015, there was an NBC series on TV called Constantine, and it starred a guy named Matt Ryan, not to be confused with the NFL quarterback, Matt Ryan. Matty Ice.
It's not the same guy?
This guy's probably more athletic.
Well, that doesn't take a lot.
I guess neither of you guys watched the TV series?
I didn't. Again, I heard good things, but I never actually watched it. I should at some point.
Never heard about it. I didn't even know it existed. Jack?
I didn't watch the series, but I did end up seeing him because after the show got canceled, even though it was like an NBC show, somehow they still managed to bring the character over to the CW verse at some point. Yeah. So he showed up on like Arrow and Flash and that kind of shit.
Well, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it pretty much was.
All right, so who is John Constantine? Well, here's what I have, Bob, in my notes. He's an exorcist and a magician.
Yeah, that's about right.
And somewhat of a con man, they also said.
Yes, for sure. He's definitely shady.
And his first appearance was Swamp Thing, issue 37, 1985. He was created by Alan Moore and Stephen R. Bissett. And the character's look was based on Sting. Not Sting, the wrestler.
Well, we're not sure. Maybe without the makeup, that's what he looks like.
Well, he'd have been way more jacked. Way more jacked.
That's fair. He's under a trench coat.
This is Sting from the Police.
I can see that.
Because apparently Stephen R. Bissett and the other another buddy of his, they were really into the Police and they loved Sting. And they wanted to make a character based on Sting. So Alan Moore, he had this other idea. And he said, hey, why don't we just make this guy look like Sting? And that's what they did.
They didn't want to go like Andy Summers or someone, huh?
Yeah,
no, I mean, definitely not.
That's not really want to base your. Could have maybe based it on Adam Ant.
That would be amazing. Love that so much.
Sting. All right, so when I was doing this research for this John Constantine, so right away when I see, Alan Moore created this guy, and I'm like, hey, I wonder if he stole this from somebody. That's all he does. That's all he does is he steals things from people. And Mike Yale loves this guy, though. But so no jive. The very next paragraph I read was, quote, Asked in 1985 about the similarities between John Constantine and the character Baron Winters from Marv Wolfman and Gene Colan's Night Force, Moore revealed that he was a big fan of Wolfman and Night Force, but that no intention to rip off Baron Winters existed. Yeah, okay. This is all this guy fucking does. It's just steal things from
In fairness, I'm quite sure that he's on a lot of drugs, so it's entirely possible that when he steals these things, he has no idea he's doing so.
Oh, he's such a genius. He just rips off everything. So yeah, those are all the notes I have on John Constantine. Bob, what else would you like to tell us about John Constantine?
I mean, that basically fills it in. He's a very troubled soul, and he smokes a lot. Yeah. I think those are the two big pieces to hit.
He also seems to like the ladies and the fellas. He likes the ladies and the fellas.
He does.
Also like Tuffy.
No, we don't want to say that about. But hey, I will say this: if you like the ladies and the fellas, it automatically doubles your chances of getting a date. You know,
particularly when you look like Sting.
Sting. So all right, but he's a magician, and he wears a trench coat, like a sort of Columbo-esque.
It is Columbo-esque.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, Columbo wears a raincoat, of course. His is more like a full-fledged trench coat?
It's longer than Columbo.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. Jank, anything else about Constantine that you know?
Nope.
I'll take that as a no. I thought, in terms of Marvel, he looks a little bit like, who's the fella, son of Satan? What's that guy's name?
Oh, Hellstrom. Damien Hellstrom.
Yeah, Damien Hellstrom. Is it a similar thing?
There's definitely, they have similar looks for sure.
Yeah. Like they're both, cause Hellstrom, he was literally the son of Satan.
Yeah.
And he's in all that
cult type
yeah,
things.
and I think he did some exorcism kind of stuff too, right? So.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Do that.
All right. So,
sorry, Bob, I have a question. Since you read some of this stuff, they keep mentioning this Newcastle incident. Do you have any idea what that was all about?
Yeah, they cover it somewhere in this series, I think after all this stuff. Basically they were in Newcastle and they came across.
Now when you say they,
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, explain that.
It's John Constantine and a group of his friends and I think a couple other people. I don't remember all exactly who were there, but it was like 6 or 7 different people.
But they had a little crew. They had a little crew where they went around investigating paranormal things or something, right?
That could be. I think they were, if I remember right, they were actually some of them were in a punk rock band and they were doing a show there, if I remember right.
I like this already.
It's been a while. It's been a bit since I've read it, but basically the venue they were playing at, they went in and there'd been a bunch of people killed, if I recall, and I guess, I don't remember if there was already a demon there, but I think they summoned a demon to try to fight this other, I think that's what happened. There was a demon at this place, and they summoned a demon to try to fight him, but they summoned him incorrectly because they were a little bit naive about what they're doing. And bad things happened, and several people died, and then the people who lived ended up just having bad lives and then dying later, for the most part. Except for Mr. Constantine.
Yeah, I guess he went to a mental institution for a while after that.
Oh, sure.
Right? I think so. Because then at the end of this book, we have some files from his psychologist or psychiatrist, I guess would be the.
Yeah, he spent a while in a mental institution after that, yeah.
But the people who were with him in that Newcastle crew, they reference in this book a bit, because we meet another one of them, I think, here in this book. Like you mentioned, they all die, basically, either then at that incident or later on. So like everyone who Constantine befriends throughout his life ends up dying, is basically one of his gimmicks, right? That he has to deal with.
That's definitely one of his gimmicks.
Yeah. Like,
I mean, that sounds like most people. Peter Parker, I think, has the same thing.
Well, yeah, I hate to break this to you, but everyone you know at some point now or previously in your life will die.
Yeah.
So pretty much that's a human condition. But it almost seems like the way the people die in his relationships, they all meet untimely ends, or as we see from this fella here in this issue, not a natural death. You know, they don't live to be old age, you know, and retire peacefully at home.
Although I don't know that this guy's dead. That would be my guess.
We'll get to it, but
Yeah.
there was some harsh handling of that scenario.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up too, Bob, because it seemed like, all right, but we'll get there.
Constantine's a jerk.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
But we'll get there in a minute. All right, the cover artist for this is Dave McKean, McKean, McKean. And the writer is Jamie Delano, and the artist for the book is John Ridgway, although Brett Owens and Jim McCarthy provide the artwork for pages 1 through 3. And we will point that out when we get there as well. Now this, the writer here, Jamie Delano, well, first of all, the cover artist, let's look at the cover. Because, this is an interesting cover. This is Dave McKean. Now, did he do Sandman stuff, Bob?
He did. He did all the Sandman covers.
I was going to say, this style looks very familiar to me. Sandman. Yeah. So, describe the cover for us, Bob.
So it's John Constantine, right in the center of the screen. John Constantine's, basically it looks like he's discovered a body sitting in a chair. It looks like he's probably dead. He's got a pentagram necklace on. And then behind them, there's, I guess, some type of ghostly face or something, a massive face screaming in agony.
Yeah, I guess his soul is leaving his body or whatever.
That could be what's going on. And then there's some weird refractory lines and stuff at the top that I don't know exactly what that's for.
Yeah, I like the
like images sliced up.
Yeah. Jank, if you look at the title there, the Hellblazer, it's all in blue and a wacky font. I like that. I think the title's kind of cool.
All around, this looks like a classy book that I like. Bill Sienkiewicz-esque.
It is very Bill Sienkiewicz-esque. But Bob, let me just clarify one thing. So you're saying that's John Constantine on this cover and not Sting?
No, you can tell by the trench coat.
All right. Oh, there it is. All right. I appreciate that. And there, right on the cover, underneath the DC bullet there on the left, new format, number 7, July 88, suggested for mature readers.
Yeah, even before Vertigo.
Yeah. So the writer here, Jimmy Delano, some info on him. He was born 1954 in Northampton, London, 137 writing credits at DC. He was handpicked by Alan Moore to write the Hellblazer series. He said, "Hey, Jamie Delano, are you going to tell anybody that I ripped off this idea?" And he said, "No, I'll never mention it." And he says, "All right, you got the job." That's how he did it. And Jamie Delano
practiced sex magic.
Yes. Alan Moore's big into the sex magic. Which, yeah, we've talked about that on the LCS show before. We've broken it down. Yeah. But he wrote 37 of the first 40 Hellblazer issues. So he did a lot here at the beginning. And then he went on to write issues 51 to 79 of Animal Man from 92 to 94. Mike Gale probably loves this guy.
I'm sure he does.
Animal Man. Jimmy Delano was part of the British invasion of British writers that came to DC after Alan Moore, you know. So they're like, hey, this Alan Moore guy.
There's a Monkeys version of Jamie Delano that's much better.
I hope so. But they're like, hey, this Alan Moore guy is really good at stealing things. I bet he has friends who can steal things too. Let's bring them all over. That's what they did. That's exactly what they did. Now, the artist is John Ridgway. He also was born in England in 1940. He has 42 penciling credits at DC. He did the first 9 issues of Hellblazer. Then he also did some Spectre, Judge Dredd, and Doctor Who. I think the Doctor Who, he did a bunch of Doctor Who and Judge Dredd. I think that was for a different company though. DC. Can't remember what though. But it was like one of them British comic companies or something.
Yeah.
Some guys. So those are the creators here. Do you have
any relation to Stan Ridgway from Wall of Voodoo?
I'm going to guess no.
The same way. Okay.
Yeah,
no, but he's related, I think, to Andrew Ridgway. Is it Andrew Ridgway?
Ridgely? From
Ridgely. I'm thinking of Ridgely. Yeah. The joke doesn't work.
No. Yeah, you tried a wham joke.
I tried a wham joke. I did.
They're very tricky.
Wham jokes are always good. You can always wham it in there.
But Bob, do you have any history with Jamie Delano or John Ridgway?
Just on Hellblazer. I've never read any Animal Man, unfortunately.
So I take it you're a big fan of their work then, if you've read 30 issues of them.
I don't know if I've read 30 issues of all of theirs, but a good chunk of it, because I've kind of jumped around in this book, but I've probably read at least the first maybe 20 of these guys. So.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ridgway
I enjoy
only did
it.
the first 9.
Yeah.
All right. I'm guessing, Jank, you've never heard of these guys?
Nope.
Yeah, I never heard of them either. Again, this is where Mike Gale came in handy because he knew all this DC bullshit. But I don't fucking know.
Yeah, you hit the important points.
All right, so let's crack this sucker open. And as we mentioned, a different art team did the first 3 pages because it's a dream sequence. Now, I like this though. I'm not a fan of this style of art here in the first 3 pages because it's very 1990. Even though this was 88, this is very, very like early 90s art, like that style, and I don't really like it. But I like the fact that they had a different art team do the dream sequence.
Yeah.
Now, the question I would have is, was this, obviously this was the plan, right? Because they have him, or did they decide, well, hey, let's add this later, and then Ridgway couldn't do it, so they got this team to do it?
The book was short, yeah, they had to add a couple more pages.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, he does have, like, throughout the series, there's a fair amount of dream sequences.
How do they usually handle them? Do they usually bring in a different art team or no?
I'm honestly not sure, to tell you the truth. I think they often look a little bit different, but I don't know if it's a fully different art team or not. But this one definitely seems more basically tacked onto the story than most of the time.
Yeah, because really you could cut this out of the book and it would not change anything that you read after it.
Yeah.
So,
does he have like prophetic dreams where like they come true in some way, or is this just normal dream that really has no point?
I feel like he's had some prophetic stuff, and like I feel like he gets visited by, dead friends and stuff, and I think even demons sometimes. So I don't know. He's got a lot of problems, so his dreams are always messed up.
Yeah.
So the dream sequence
files at the end of the book.
Yes.
Yeah. There's one particularly disturbing detail about that.
and that's we'll get to that.
All right. So the dream sequence, they open up. He's in a theater, and you can tell this book is made for mature readers because he goes sliding into second base right away in the second panel. He's there with a lady friend, and he's going right under her shirt in the second panel. And now this lady friend, I guess her name is Zed, and this is what can you tell us about her, Bob? Zed.
I don't remember.
All right.
I should have researched her more. Like, I know she's a recurring character early on in the story, and obviously, and she's later in this story specifically. But her and Constantine used to have a relationship, and I don't remember all the details.
From my understanding, she is the daughter of some cult.
Yes.
Some religious cult that he is trying to take down, I believe.
Yeah. Tongues of Fire or something like that?
Yeah, Tongues of Fire. That's right. Yeah. And so then they go their separate ways eventually. And then I think the last thing I read on Wikipedia or wherever the character background was what I read, it said like the last time she interacted with Constantine, she tried to lure him into an orgy, but he declined. I'm like, oh wow, that sounds that really does sound for mature readers.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, Jank, but I don't remember that time where Black Cat showed up and tried to lure Spider-Man into an orgy. I must have missed that episode when that happened.
Yeah. That sounds like something that would have happened on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Perhaps. Yeah.
Firestar. She was a kinky minx.
I think so, yeah. That sounds right.
I like the term kinky minx. Yeah, that'd be a good band name. Here. The Kinky Minx. All right. So anyway, they're in the theater. I was a little confused about what they're watching in this theater because it seems like James Bond, a monster movie, and Sherlock Holmes are all up on the screen at some point in this theater.
Very good movie.
It is James Bond.
Yeah. But basically, now he doesn't look anything like Sting here in this beginning. Yeah, like these characters don't look anything like what they look like later in the book.
No,
but
she's got totally different hair. I think she's got white hair later on, but
this looks completely different than what she normally looks.
Yeah,
yeah. Like I had no idea this was Constantine at first. I'm like, who is this guy? But yeah, so they're in the theater all alone. The theater's completely empty except for them, and he starts to make the sweet love to her in this theater, And then then he rips open her chest, or I guess she rips open her chest, and you get to see her, he like unzips her, and you can see her bones and her organs, and he rips off her skin from her face, so she's just all muscle and eyeballs, and eventually she's just a bloody skeleton, and he's still making out with her. Now, so I guess the symbolism here is that she has a lot of secrets, and he wants to get down into those secrets and find out what her true nature is. Either that, or he really wants to have sex with a skeleton.
Judging by those files, I wouldn't put that past. He's into some weird stuff.
But, all right, Bob, so then we get through that dream sequence. Now we get to the John Ridgway art, and it's very different.
Very different.
I wouldn't say I like it, but I appreciate it. Like, it has a very distinctive style. It's very moody and dark, and a lot of heavy blacks, a lot of sketchy little lines everywhere. I don't know.
Yeah, occasionally it's very good. Like there's one panel of his buddy later on where it's really good and detailed, but for the most part it's pretty ugly.
Yeah, like sometimes the anatomy goes wonky and like their movements are weird, but it's a stylized version of art, so I'm fine with it. Like, he's consistent with it, you know. So exactly. I'm not going to like nitpick that. As long as you're consistent with your wonky anatomy, that's fine. You just don't like to like.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say.
Jarring when it pops up, you know.
It is ugly, but it's the style. It's what he's going for. So yeah. I kind of dig it, but yeah, it's not traditional by any means, and it's an acquired taste probably as well.
Yeah, it's good. It's fine. It's just it's not my thing, you know. He's good at it. What he does, he's good at. Just not my thing. There you go. Best way to say it. But all right, Bob. So Constantine wakes up. He's like on a subway car or whatever they call them in England. I don't know.
I'm sure it's some ridiculous name.
A banger or mash. And,
one of those.
Roger. I don't know.
And so take us away, Bob. What happens now? He gets waken up on this.
Yeah. So the security guard wakes him up and kicks him off the train. And he's all upset because he hates public transportation, but he can't drive. So then he gets in a taxi cab because he wants to go to the industrial estate because he's going to see his old buddy, whose name I've already forgotten.
Yeah, I don't remember his name either. But hey, look how happy that kid is eating cereal on that billboard.
Yeah.
He's very happy.
Some damn good cereal.
So yeah, his buddy works at some computer lab or something, right?
Yeah, it's not clear exactly what he does, but he definitely works at a computer lab and has access to very impressive computer equipment.
And his buddy's
do weird things.
And his buddy's name is Richie.
Richie, that's right.
Richie also likes to smoke darts. Yeah, Richie and Constantine are both smoking cigs.
Yeah, I appreciate that about this book, if nothing else. They weren't afraid to have people smoke.
Well, that's literally one of John Constantine's biggest gimmicks is smoking. And one of the big storylines is he basically gets lung cancer and makes a deal with the devil, which I think is what the movie is based on.
Oh.
Hey, you know another gimmick he has? Looking like Sting.
Sting was big in the 80s, man. People loved him.
Yeah.
They cast him in Dune. It was a huge deal.
Hell yeah.
Hey, I'm watching.
You must be all right.
I think I was still watching old Siskel and Ebert, you know, and like Dune popped up the other night. Yeah, they didn't like it.
No, I would assume. I mean, it wasn't great anyway, but I would assume they didn't enjoy it.
Even David Lynch enjoyed it. He made it.
So he's talking to his buddy Richie. He wants Richie to use his fancy computer knowledge to help get him information about where this cult, the Tongues of Fire, where it is located, right? Isn't that the basic idea here?
That's basically it. You know, go do some normal hackery stuff, break into some computer files. That's all we're looking for here.
But his buddy Richie, he doesn't just do normal computer hacking. He makes sweet, sweet love to that computer. Like he puts some electrodes on his head and he merges with the computer. His consciousness goes inside the computer. That's pretty fancy.
Yeah.
Jank, this seems like a movie we would have watched on LCS at some point.
Yeah,
Basic
I
plot.
can see that. It's got elements of like Lawnmower Man.
I was going to say it's a little bit Lawnmower.
Oh, that's right. We never watched that, but yeah, that does sound familiar.
That's something we would watch, yeah.
Now, Jank, did you like this art here? Because when his buddy goes to the computer, it gets all trippy and shit. They do.
Yeah, this I thought was really good. All the stuff where he's in the computer, I mean, it was all kind of flowery prose, and I didn't really care for all that, but the art I thought here was great. Richie comes out looking a lot better than Constantine, who just kind of looks like he belongs as a Morlock under the streets of New York City.
Hey, let's not be bashing the Morlocks now.
But, yeah, it gets very, like, psychedelic, and they're doing, like, 2-page spreads here as well. So it's pretty cool when he's in the computer. Now we cut away, and now we get, this is Zed. So this is the same lady who was in the movie theater earlier in the dream sequence. Mm-hmm. Even though you'd never be able to tell by looking at her.
Not at all.
No.
Yeah, and she's enjoying, she has her hair up in a towel. She just got out of the shower. She's in a robe. And she's enjoying a cup of tea with an older gentleman. And I guess, Bob, do you know who this fellow is? I guess he's a friend of Constantine's.
Yeah, I don't remember if they, like, he's not in it much. I don't remember if they cover what their history is with Constantine or if he's just a friend of Constantine. I'm sure in the issue before this they were introduced somehow, but I don't remember the specifics.
Yeah, I think I read he might own some sort of a curiosity shop or something.
That might be right. That does sound familiar.
And he, like, helps Constantine research some stuff or, like, paranormal stuff or when he needs advice. And also he's a gay fella. And so at some point in this, Zed asks, "Oh, are you and John, like," because he said they're old friends, and she says, "Oh, are you and John?"
Yeah.
Like, nope. And so, but I don't know if she used that terminology, but I believe what I read from what I read on the Wikipedias and other places, I don't think they actually confirmed his bisexuality until after this, like years after this.
That's probably true because he wouldn't have had a lot of character development before this. This is only issue 7, so
yeah,
so
6 issues.
But from my perspective though, I feel sorry then for Constantine if Zed, this lady who he apparently likes, thinks he might be gay. That's a bad sign.
I think she can
he
just
does
figure
look
out.
like Sting.
Like, I think at this point they've already been together, so I think she could just tell that he's.
That's even worse.
Oh no.
He was so inept in his lovemaking that he must be gay.
John
He would
Constantine's
only
a player.
do it from behind.
He gets it done.
He had no knowledge of the vagina whatsoever. He must be gay. No, so, but he asked, and the guy says, no. But he says, John, he's very nice to me, and we're old friends and chums or whatever. And he starts talking about his old lover, who I think is he dead? Because he shows a picture of him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he died of the AIDS, I believe, right? Is that what he says?
His lover died in the Falklands War.
Yep.
Oh.
This guy's got the AIDS.
This guy's got AIDS.
Oh, okay. Because she says something like, or doesn't he have a line like, "Oh, they'll start caring about it when it starts killing straight people" or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so they're having a chat, but there's some hoodlums sneaking up the back stairs. See them sneaking up here, and she says, "Hey, what's going on there?" And they bust in, and she throws her tea at them. Yet surprisingly, that does not stop them.
No, I think it did slow them down though. They thought about it for a second, like, should we leave? But then they did.
We are British. We have to drink this tea.
So look, she puts up her dukes there. Or no, that's the old guy. Yeah, the old guy puts up his dukes. Because they look very similar, her with the towel on the head. And him with
his white hair, yeah.
And, but the guy just punches him in the belly and knocks him down. So I guess, the people here are here to kidnap Zed. And because the one guy, it's her father, right? Does he say
Yep. The cult is, without getting into all the details, basically they're looking to sacrifice her to an angel, to bring an angel back to Earth, I believe. It's a little sketchy what their plan is, how angels are going to love human sacrifice, but, they're whacked out cult. They believe stupid things.
That is weird. So they kidnap Zed and they throw her in the back of a van and that old guy is still wheezing from getting punched in the belly. And so now we cut back to John Constantine, and what's happening here, Jank?
Oh, so much action. He's,
I love this bit.
He was trying to get a coffee from the vending machine, and it's not giving it to him, so he just decides to kick the shit out of it. And it's all busted in and stuff like that, so no one's ever getting coffee again.
He's just a normal dude, right? Because he buckled this coffee machine with one kick. Like it is.
I mean, he does have demon blood in him. I don't know if that makes him much stronger.
Demon blood in him. Because it's like the Hulk kicked this vending machine or something. But
I've seen people get mad and kick a DDR machine in, so it's
it can be done. I don't know. I just love that line. I still haven't got a cup of hot coffee. Just the satisfaction of knowing that the thing will never work again. He's just such a dick. He's like, you know what? Fuck this machine.
So then Jank, he goes into the office to look at his buddy Richie, and Richie's still zoned out, right?
Yep. Still in the computer, still kind of just, going looking for this information on the tongues of fire. And you just get a bunch of text boxes here. It's like Richie's narration of what it feels like to be inside the computer. Don't really get a whole lot out of it.
Yeah, I mean, and he's a weird old hippie dude, so that's why all this flowery text and nonsense. So,
I guess we should say Constantine looks like Sting. Who would Richie look like? He's got a beard, his hair back in a ponytail, glasses. I don't know.
Yeah. Norm Abrams.
Norm Abrams. I don't know why that's funny, but that's very funny. All right. But the art here, again, it's very psychedelic and trippy and whatnot of Richie inside the computer. But then Bob, it looks like Richie, he starts to smolder a little bit. What's going on?
Yeah, he's getting a little bit too close to something. And his body starts smoldering. And so John Constantine does the logical thing, which is grab a fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He scores from the fire extinguisher. But it's kind of too late. Richie just spontaneously combusted.
I can't believe the fire extinguisher sprayed at the human didn't solve the problem.
Now let me ask you this. Like if you, in the one panel where he's sitting in the chair and I guess he's bursting, he looks really weird there.
Yeah, that was odd.
He's got a gold star around his neck. All right.
Yeah, I hadn't noticed that.
And then later, Constantine picks it off his dead body. But if we go back to the cover, he's depicted with a pentagram.
Yeah.
Around his neck.
That doesn't make a lot of sense.
That would make more sense than just a starfish.
So what do you think happened?
Mario.
Do you think this was a mix-up, in the coloring? Like they just read it as a star, not a pentagram, and they just colored it all solid?
Yeah. They could have done 5-pointed star, and this guy was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because there's not even there should clearly, even if the inks at least should have a circle around this star to make it a pentagram, but it's just not there. So yeah, I've got to assume that Andrew Ridgeley here screwed up.
I mean, because it's meant to be a pentagram, right? I mean,
yes.
The other option would be the cover artist screwed up. But I think considering the source material, it's probably meant to be a pentagram. So yeah, I guess there was just a mix-up somewhere. Because that really did take away from the story, because I didn't even notice the pentagram when I first looked at the cover, when I first read the book. So then I'm like, yeah, he just has a gold star. What the fuck? Who cares? Why is he wearing a gold star around his neck?
Yeah, that's very strange. I hope someone got fired over that screw up.
Yeah.
And he did. He only did 2 more issues, and they're like, you're out of here.
Oh, no. So Richie spontaneously combusts, and he's just charred bones now. He's just, that's it. He's a dead guy.
Yep.
And Constantine touches it his head.
Right off.
Yeah, his head fell completely off. He's just a smoldering pack of bones in a chair. But his consciousness is still in the computer. And he's like, hey, you there, John? Listen, I had a bit of a close call, but I'm okay. I'm on my way back. And Constantine's like, hey, Richie, I don't know what to tell you. And he's like, hey, Columbus only discovered a new world. Richie Simpson found a whole new universe. You ought to try it, John, man. What a rush. Here be a mate. Yeah, they keep calling everybody mate as well throughout the book.
Well, they're British.
Yeah, but that's fine once or twice. But you have to do it 30 times. You know? Just give us a little
They
flavor.
only have, it's either that or cunt. So what do you want them to do?
Give us a bit of the flavor. Don't drown us in it. But anyway, so Richie's trying to get out of the computer, Bob, and Constantine just refuses to tell him that his body just got incinerated. So what is Constantine do?
Richie keeps interrupting because he's all high on his new power, and Constantine's like, man, I mean, how do you tell somebody whose consciousness is in a computer that their physical body is burned up? Like, well, that's not an easy thing to tell them.
I think it'd be pretty easy.
Yeah, Jank, if this happened to us, Jank and I will recreate things, right? So I'm Richie. I'm in the computer. Jank, you play Hellblazer, whatever the fuck his name is. All right, hey, Jank, wow, you won't believe this. This computer is crazy, man. I've discovered a whole new universe.
Yeah, hey mate, I got some bad news. Your body just kind of burned up over here, spontaneously combusted, so you can't get back in it.
No
but,
shit.
You know, I'm gonna help you. We're gonna figure this out. I'm gonna conjure you up some flesh, or we'll find you a person who's brain dead, get you hooked up in their body or something. But I'm gonna help you. We'll figure this out.
All right, thanks, John. I really appreciate that, John Constantine. Hey, but here's the thing. Whatever you do, don't turn off the computer, okay? Because that might fuck me up. Just make sure the computer stays plugged in and powered on, okay? Because that way my consciousness can keep living until we figure out a way to fix this. Deal?
Absolutely.
All right. See, that's how that would go, Bob. That's exactly how that should go. But
I mean, that was really casual banter between a guy who's stuck in a computer and his whole body's been incinerated, and the guy who watched it happen.
But what does Constantine do, Bob?
Well, he doesn't want Richie to come back into his burned up body, so he disconnects the brain sensors and everything, so Richie can't come back into his body, because that would be awful for him. Nobody wants that. And then he decides, let's go ahead and unplug the computer, because Richie's got no body. What use is he anymore? So
yeah. I'm not even going to tell him. This all now is going to seem to Richie like this was his plan all along. I'm going to get him to go into the computer and then unplug him. Ha ha ha. Fuck you, Richie.
Yeah. Like, it just seems so bizarre that he wanted to at least give him some idea of what's happening here. You know?
Right.
Like, they consider it a mercy killing, I guess, just pulling out the plug or whatever. But you should at least tell Richie what's going on. Or I would try to, like Jank and I reenacted beautifully. I would try and figure out a way to save my friend. Yeah. I want to just unplug the computer.
I mean, John was looking out for his best interests. He didn't want him to obviously get into that body, but also he didn't want him to have to deal with the horror of knowing that his body was burned up. It's better to just put him out of his misery. He's trying to be nice. This is kind of one of the things about Constantine. He's like, tries to be nice and tries to do the good thing, but often it just ends up fucking people over and, in this case, killing them.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to see how this would fuck someone over, though. I mean, I just think, there's got to be the consciousness is all that you really, as long as your consciousness is going, you're going,
I have to assume that Richie is still alive in the computer there and is going to find a way back, and he's going to be quite angry at John Constantine at some point.
Do you want to know what happened to Richie?
Yes.
Yeah, he didn't die. His consciousness was still alive. I've remembered some of this, so I'm looking it up on one of the Wiki fandom things. So I'm just going to read this basically. He gets in touch with John through a gas bill, leaving a phone number for John to call him on.
Of all the ways to get in touch with someone, through a gas bill.
So they arranged for a special computer to be sent that would allow his consciousness to be downloaded in a new body.
Just like Jank and I theorized when we reenacted that scene so beautifully.
So Constantine agreed, but only if Richie would help him deal with the demon Nergal, who is kind of the recurring bad guy in this, or one of the villains in this.
What a jerk.
I know, what an ass. Like, you killed this guy. The least you can do is get him a new, oh my God. He's
constantly back in a body.
It gets even better. So Richie does so, uploading the demon's consciousness to the digital plane alongside John's, where John tricked it into destroying itself. When he tried to return, however, John discovered that Richie had taken over his body. John convinced him to enter Nergal's body instead, but upon doing so, Richie underwent a transformation into a new kind of technological demon.
What the fuck? Richie, what he should have done after he got Constantine's body, he should have just unplugged the computer and said, fuck you, buddy. Now I got your body. See how you like it.
Yeah, so it's all fucked up.
Honestly, I'm on Richie's side in this.
Yeah, for sure.
Richie did nothing wrong. Richie did nothing wrong. Constantine's a piece of garbage. Man. Oh, some wild, wild stuff. All right. So, his buddy burns up in the chair there. He unplugs the computer and he just goes on about his business.
I mean, he's not happy about it.
He's real broken up about it.
Yeah.
Look at this panel on the next page where he's riding the train. He's clearly broken up about it.
Yeah. So he's on the train.
To the marrow.
He's on the train and he starts seeing the images of his former friends who have all been, like some of them Newcastle kids who died. And, cause I guess he's haunted by their spirits. Is that another gimmick of, Hellblazer? He's haunted by spirits?
Yes. Specifically these Newcastle people.
Was that none at the punk rock concert?
That's the thing. Like, they weren't all, like, she was involved somehow, but yeah, they weren't all, like, at the punk rock concert because it was, like, the next day or something, because one of them's a biker that they just meet.
I was going to say, how about the gay biker from the...
Yeah, they went
the
real gay
Academy
with the
movie.
biker. Yeah, it's very, yeah, I can't remember the name of that bar, but it's very that.
I believe, well, yeah.
The Blue something.
The Blue Oyster? Was that what
That
it was?
might be the Blue Oyster, yeah. But yeah, it's very much that. I don't know why they decided
Alan Moore stole that from Police Academy.
So he's trying to talk to all these dead spirits, and, I don't know, what do they tell him? That he's a jerk? Is that what
That's
they tell him?
basically it, yeah. Like, stop being such
I think they basically tell him he's too horny. That's his problem.
Oh, they do
Trying to
mention
fuck
that
him.
too, yeah.
Yeah, the big part of the problem, buddy, is that you're too interested in satisfying your sexual appetites. You're just a dirty old man, and you're going to screw up because of it. Yeah, well, seems about right. But
Yeah.
so he just runs and jumps off a train, and he knocks himself out. Right? He knocks himself silly there.
Yep. Fade to black.
Unconscious. So now we cut over, and we see Zed. She's sitting on an examination table in like a hospital gown, and we see her. That's her dad, right? Mm-hmm. And these other guys talking, and apparently they just found out that she's not a virgin anymore.
Uh-oh.
I guess that was Constantine that did that?
Yeah, so yes, and part of it was because, like I said, they were going to try to sacrifice her to have an angel return, but because John Constantine had sex with her and he's got demon blood in him, now she's basically corrupted by, not fully corrupted by a demon, but has been corrupted at least, so.
Was that the line the line he used to get, he's like, hey, I'm sorry there, sweetie, but if I don't have sex with you, they're going to sacrifice you. So what we have to do is make sure you're not a virgin. All right?
You'd be amazed how often that works.
So that's where the book ends. Because the one guy says virginity would have been preferable, but mental alignment is more important. We'll never find a better psychological profile. I suggest intensive re-education beginning tomorrow in Glastonbury.
Very British.
Oh yeah, they have musical concerts there all the time. Next, intensive care. That's where they go. Glastonbury. I remember the White Stripes played Glastonbury. I had the bootleg. All right. So anyway, now we turn the page and we get to these psychiatrist files of John Constantine. Jank, would you like to tell us what the? I guess they detail some dreams he's had, and he had one about his sister Cheryl. Would you like to tell us about that?
So, he's having a dream about his sister Cheryl. Apparently not the first one he's had. Another childhood dream about my sister Cheryl. It's a chilly early winter evening. Must be a Saturday. The sports results, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, let's get to the important part. He's looking at her through the window. She's undressing, taking off the cheap, thin clothes she wears for her Saturday job at Woolworths, pausing breathtakingly naked to kiss the pinup picture of Paul McCartney, thumbtacked to her wall as she passes on the way to the wardrobe to fetch her makeup and going out clothes. Yeah, he's loving this. He's fascinated by this whole process of watching his sister get naked.
Yeah, he wants to have sweet, sweet love with
weird.
his sister. Yeah.
Yep.
I had an older sister. Never had this experience. Just putting it out there.
I would imagine not.
No, I don't think this is common.
So what was the
favorite dream?
Yeah, but he just said he wanted to have sex with his sister at some point, right? He's like, yeah, I just.
Yeah. Well, then he says, like, I better not tell this to the shrinks because they might think I'm, into incest and stuff. Which sounds like you are. So
yeah, you are. You are Constantine. You are.
He also mentions Tony Masters, who I believe is the Taskmaster.
Is that his real name?
I think that's his real name, yeah.
Didn't know that. All right, so then the other one, he has another dream. I don't know, is there anything significant about this other dream?
He's looking at a National Geographic.
Yeah, he's looking at all the native ladies in the National Geographic. He is a horny bastard, this John Constantine.
Yeah.
I don't know. Bob, did they do this gimmick? I like to say the word gimmick. Did they use this every issue?
Not every issue, but I feel like they did it a handful of times.
All right. Oh, there's a little note there by the psychiatrist. Do not underestimate.
Possessed of a high IQ and an amoral intelligence, which is basically John Constantine to a Q. That's basically, or to a T, not a Q.
Yeah. Well, he's so smart. It's him to a Q. He goes very well.
Yeah. That's what they call it in Britain.
Yeah. All right. So, Jank, this is your first experience with John Constantine. Hellblazer. What'd you think?
I'm still interested in the character, I guess, to an extent. But as for this particular issue, I can't say I was a big fan. By the end of it, I was just kind of thinking of that line from Office Space. Like, what exactly is it that you do here? Because I was like, I don't feel like anything got accomplished in this. He went to go get information from his buddy. His buddy burned the fuck up.
But he did
no
get the
information out of it.
No, he got the information. He did get the information. His buddy does mention where they're at. He says, so that's why he got on the train. He's headed there. That's why he got on the train, right? But,
like I said, it's hard to pick just like a standalone type issue out of the series because it's all a recurring story. And so I want to get one that was sort of standalone-ish, but also very weird. I wanted to get the weird. I could have gone just for him fighting demons and doing horror stuff, which, when Shocktober comes around, maybe you'll come back to it. But I just, I kind of selected one that just covered a lot of, frankly, weird ground and showed off John Constantine as a dick, which was also important.
Now, the writing here at the beginning, it was very overwritten, like painfully so. And I guess the idea with the guy going on the computer, and man, if your motive is to make Constantine an unlikable son of a bitch, then him unplugging that is great. But I just don't know how anyone could look at like my first experience with John Constantine, seeing him unplug that computer on his friend there, that makes me think, well, this guy's just a jerk. I don't care about this guy at all. Mm-hmm. But I guess if you've had experience with him previously, then that action could be in character and everything. So I'll take Bob's word. Bob, you weren't offended by that? Him unplugging?
I mean, it was harsh when it happened, but it was like we said, he's troubled. He's got a lot of friends die. He sees people die around him a lot. So he's not numb to it. It obviously still affects him, but it's like, just kind of like, this is what happens. People in my life die, and this is another one. So I'm going to put him out of his misery, hopefully without him knowing it, because he just spontaneously combusted, and this is awful for him. So he's trying to do the right thing, and quick thinking decides putting him out of his misery is the best idea. Clearly was not. Like you said, clearly there would have been better scenarios to go through with this, but in the moment he tried to do what was right and just ended up being a dick about it. But clearly
here's the thing,
he buys it back later. He helps the guy out a lot, so it really goes well.
He helps him out after he blackmails him into helping him. But yeah, I mean, clearly Richie knows a lot more about this whole going into the computer thing. So maybe if you tell him his body's gone, he can help you come up with a solution.
Yeah, that would have definitely been the right move. But he's a flawed character for sure. He doesn't make the right move, frankly, all that often.
Well, I mean, I guess it is one of those things where you have your characters make bold choices.
So that was definitely a choice. That was definitely a choice.
And quite frankly, we were all sick of Richie's dialogue. So
I don't want to hear him talk about what it's like making love to the computer anymore.
It just seemed like such a poor choice that it makes me not like the character.
Yeah.
But, other than that,
I mean, there was no way you were liking this character coming into this at all, so.
Well, he does look like Sting, so that's a strike against him. We already talked about the art. It's unique, it's distinctive, not something I like, but it's consistent in its style, so it's fine. I don't know, Jank, what'd you think looking back at it after we did the whole issue?
Like I said, there's some very good parts, like that kind of half shot of Richie's face when he's in the computer. Like that was so good. Like that was excellent. But then there's scenes like when he's on the train, like Constantine's on the train near the end and his eyes are completely all wonky and
yeah.
What am I looking at? So it's kind of inconsistent in quality. It's definitely consistent in, tone and whatnot, but I don't know. The quality itself kind of varies.
We also have to keep in mind, I don't really like this kind of stuff.
No, which is another reason why I chose this.
Like magic and, exorcisms and demons and shit. That's not my thing.
Like that stuff. Yeah.
I like punching.
There's not a single punch in this whole.
No, there isn't.
Actually, there is. There's a couple punches with.
Is there? Oh yeah.
The old guy in the belly. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Beating up senior citizens. The only punch.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not really my thing. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10, middle of the road. Because I can see how people would enjoy it. The art is interesting. I guess if I like these characters, this would have been more interesting to me. But as coming in fresh, just out of nowhere, this was very boring.
Yeah, as a single issue, there just wasn't a whole lot there. It's not like, there were some cool hero moments in this one. No, not so much.
I don't want to bury it though, because I see what they're doing. I see what he's going for here, and it is a big arching story, so I can see the potential here for the overall story, and I like the idea of the dead haunting him, the people he failed in the past, and all that guilt and everything. So I like what they're doing. It's just not for me, It's just not for me. So I don't think I'll be reading any more Hellblazer.
No, I wouldn't think so. Jank, you should give it a try though. Start,
Yeah.
Read a few of them and see what you think.
I think I might. I'm definitely still interested in this character in this world.
Wow.
And I can see this being all right, if I had more context and if I read the entire series, it might be just fine, but just going off this one issue is tough. So I'd probably give it like a 4.
A 4. Bob, what about this one issue?
Can I give it an 11?
Oh,
no.
Wow.
It's a 6 or a 7. Like I like I'm on the other side. Like I like this art. I like because I've grown accustomed to it, and I like the characters. So in fairness, it's probably a 6 because you're right. Not a lot happens other than him totally screwing over his friend in the computer.
All right. Well, there it is. Hellblazer. All right. Now here's the part of the show where I usually say what we're doing next week.
Yeah.
And even though I've been doing the show for over 3 years now, you will be shocked at how many times I forget to pick a book. It's my turn. And so this week, completely blanked on it. And I also forgot to look for a book while we were doing the Hellblazer review. Because I was supposed to do that. Remember at the top of the show we said I would do that?
I do.
I didn't do that.
This is great. Guess what, Jank? It's Hellblazer 8. It's happening.
No.
All right.
So find out what happens with up in
Zed.
Glastonbury with Zed in Glastonbury.
Now, normally I have a list of other books that I wanted to read. And I'm looking for that list right now.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of editing this episode, cutting out all this.
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing any editing. This is all being recorded and this is all airing. I just don't seem to see that list anywhere. So now I have another list of when we did our top 11 flea market fantasy books that we hadn't done on the show yet. I think we did that on the LCS show one time when Miles Watson was on. So I'm looking at that list, and there are a couple books here that we could choose from. This will be a group brainstorm. We'll come together as a consensus. Now, Bob, you are off the hook. You are not required to show up next week.
Yeah, I can't be here next week,
right.
but thanks.
But we'll appreciate your feedback on this decision. All right.
Yeah.
So the number one title on that list was Strike Force Moratori. We did that one. Number 2 on the list was Damage Control, 1989. This is not the current WWE faction featuring Bailey, Dakota Kai.
I was hoping that it was I was hoping it was related to them.
So do I. That would be great. No, this is a little 4-issue series they did, where about the people that cleaned up all the messes that superheroes made.
Oh.
Yeah. I've never read it, but I remember when I was a kid when it came out, but I've never read it.
I haven't either, but it's an interesting sounding idea.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept for sure.
Also, at number 4 on the list was Killraven, and we mentioned this a couple of weeks. I think last week, Bob, we talked about Killraven because they made him into Ape Slayer. Remember?
Killraven the Ape Slayer.
Yeah.
But the original Killraven, it was like a War of the Worlds situation, and he was in Amazing Adventures in 1973. So that's more my ballywick, as they like to say, in the 70s. So we could go there. Or a couple others. Jack of Hearts from 1984.
Oh, yeah.
I've never read any Jack of Hearts. That was a 4-issue series in 1984. And then he became he popped up in the Avengers. I remember the one where Vision went nuts, right?
Yeah, he died when Wanda went nuts. I remember he was one of the casualties there.
Also, we did Squadron Supreme.
I'm going to interrupt real quick. You know, for fear you guys do this one, but I just looked up Jack of Hearts. Jack of Hearts' real name? Jack Hart.
H-A-R-T?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, quite a secret identity.
Not unlike Tony Masters as Taskmaster. Very similar.
Close.
A couple other possibilities here. We mentioned Cloak and Dagger before. This is on the list at number 10, 1983. We've never actually done an official Cloak and Dagger. Also, some more New Universe books we've never done. Psy-Force, Night Mask, Mark Hazard, or Justice.
Ooh.
New Universe. The ratings go sky high when we do New Universe.
It's true.
Yeah, you guys are going to need to kick it back up after these last few weeks. So.
I'm kind of curious about Justice, because I know he popped up in some Peter David books later on.
Well, fuck that. I hate Peter David. All right. That was Jenks. Bob, any input you would like to have for this decision? Anything? Any other suggestions you'd like to make? Anything not mentioned?
I don't have any suggestions off the top of my head.
Off
of what you listed, I'd love to know more about damage control. I'd like to know if that's worth reading.
All right, we'll do damage control because we were supposed to do it. Mike L and I were supposed to do it a long time ago, and we never did. So, Jank, are you cool with damage control next week?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we'll do issue 1. What the fuck? We don't like to do too many issue 1s here, but it's a 4-issue limited series. No one knows what the fuck damage control is. Let's do issue.
Yeah, we'll get in on the ground floor.
They're in the first Spider-Man movie, right? I assume that's damage control?
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
Yeah, they definitely did mention them in one of those.
Because wouldn't they be the guys that were cleaning up that put Michael Keaton out of business?
Yeah, I think you're right.
I assume that's that company.
Yeah, I never watched any of those, so yeah, I have no idea.
Well, they were very mean to Michael Keaton, so they're not good.
Can't allow that.
But I'll tell you next week, when we do this, nothing but Bailey references throughout the entire show.
Excellent.
It's going to be great. All right. So, Bob, thanks again for filling in for Jank and for showing up this week. We appreciate it. Not so much for the Hellblazer, but just for your loyalty to the brand. Thank you. We got to thank Jank for showing up again. Nice to have you back, buddy. And hopefully you'll be here next week when we do Damage Control issue 1. And until then, don't get any jank on you.